Welcome to the Fresh Start Metabolism Program. Fresh Start is all about choices. It's not a one-size-fits-all diet. As a matter of fact, you have 3 different food plans to pick from. The number 1 food plan is called the Carbo Clean-Out plan. This is for those of you who are what I coin carbo sensitive. You love your breads, your pasta, your rice, your noodles, chips and chocolates and sweets, that sort of thing. Now, how do you know if you're carbo sensitive or if you just happen to like those foods every once in a while? You take the quiz that's in your manual and it'll tell you without a shadow of a doubt whether the Carbo Clean-Out plan would be best for you. By the way, in the last 11 years I've been doing this program, 86% of people that I've helped are carbo sensitive. So the odds are that probably could be the plan for you. But it may not be. You just may need to lose weight, but you're not real carbo sensitive. Then the program that would be best for you is in the manual again, and it's called the glycemic plan. And I'd also like you to go to the video called Discovering the Glycemic Index. Third, and far from least, is the vegetarian plan. This is for those of you who are vegetarians. You have 2 different choices. One is to go to the vegetarian plan that's in your manual, or you can also do the Carbo Clean-Out plan. Here's all you would do. Just substitute whenever I talk about meat choices, you would just substitute them for vegetarian choices, and you'll see them all in your manual. Now, let's talk about the results you're going to see, because that's what we all want to know. This is incredible, the results you'll be seeing. Within 3 to 7 days, most people notice their cravings decrease, their energy increase, and they also notice they're more clear, more focused. Even your mood swings change. Let me give you an example. I had a woman take the program, this was less than a year ago, her name's Ann Burns. Ann actually noticed, she emailed me within 3 days of taking the program, and her actual words to me were, I feel clearer, I feel more focused, it's like the fog lifted. That was her exact words, it was like the fog lifted. So if you are out there and you're struggling with weight, look at Ann's before picture. I mean, can you imagine? She lost 105 pounds within 11 months. 105 pounds. And she noticed her energy increase, and she noticed the mood swings go away. Now, what can you expect to see? Well, it depends on your age and your weight. But let me give you another example, because people always say to me, how fast will it go, Cathi? Like, how long do I have to wait before I start to lose this weight? The more that you follow the guidelines I'm about to tell you about the Carbo Clean-Out plan, the faster you'll see the results. But let me give you just one other example. Michael Koenig took the program, and Michael, he's a man, and you often think, you know, men, they don't diet. They're not like us. Oh, yeah? This is interesting for you to know. Michael had been on every diet in the world. He said to me, I'm no diet virgin. He did diet pills. He did the support groups. He did the counting the calories, the fat grams. Think about this. In 1 month, Michael lost 30 pounds. That's right, in 1 month. And now he's down 85 pounds, and he's kept the weight off. That's what I want you to do. Whether you have 10 pounds to lose, 20 pounds, or 186 pounds like I had to lose, I want this program to work for you. So what I suggest if you're carbo addictive is go on the Carbo Clean-Out plan like I had to do back in 1982. Now, what do you get to eat on the plan? Well, what I want you to do is go to your manual. In your manual, we've got all your food choices. Go to the section that it's a flip-out chart, and it'll show you all your protein choices. Now, protein, we know what that is. You got your beef, your poultry, fish, but for the vegetarians, we also have all the vegetarian choices, veggie burgers and tofu and tempeh. So with protein, you get to eat it to satisfaction. Oh, by the way, there's no counting calories. There's no counting fat grams. Forget that. We've tried that before. It doesn't work. So eat the protein to satisfaction. Then we have fats. Fats, we want to lower the fats. This is not like a high-protein diet where they tell you to have, you know, the burger and the cheese and the bacon on it. I mean, does that make sense to you? But don't you have any veggies with that? That's not what this program's about. It's about a healthy lifestyle change. And then the carbohydrate choices. And the carbohydrates are all the rest on these 2 pages. So what are we talking about when we talk about carbohydrates? We're talking about everything from breads to pasta, rice, noodles, pretzels, chips, sweets. Those are all carbohydrates. Back in 1982, when I weighed over 326 pounds, I always say I was queen of the carbs. And I'm not exaggerating. I loved my carbs. And I found that when I would go on a high-protein diet, I just couldn't stay on it because my cravings would come back to haunt me. For me, what the breakthrough was when I learned about the glycemic index. When I learned about this scientific study, it was like manna from heaven. It was like the skies broke open and the heavens came down on me because it was information that I could use for life. And what this information taught me was that not all carbs are created equal. What do I mean by that? Well, scientists took a group of people and they gave them 1-ounce portions of all different carbohydrate foods to see how they would react in the bloodstream. Some of these foods raised the blood sugar crazy. Other foods just kept it nice and balanced. Let me give you an example. This is a little graph I made up to show you how they rated different foods. The scientists took glucose as sugar as your indicator. And this shows you that it raises your blood sugar 100%. Now that doesn't surprise most of us. We know what happens when we start to eat a lot of sweets. Up goes our blood sugar, and what goes up must come down. Those are those sugar blues that happen to us. Now this may interest some of you. If you go and eat a white or a whole wheat bread, it raises your insulin 70%. That's pretty high, from 100 to 70. Does that mean we can never ever have breads again? Would I do that to you? Here's the good news. If you go for a pumpernickel or a whole grain, it only raises your insulin 51%. 51 or 70? I know what I'd take any day. That's nothing to the glycemic index. The lower you keep it, the better for cravings. So what I'd like to tell you is that yes, you still can have bread every once in a while. Of course, we're going to lower those carbs, but we're not going to make you like a high-protein diet where you can never ever have it again. What I want to teach you is the difference between good carbs and bad carbs. For instance, I want to tell you about a very good carb that a typical high-protein diet would tell you is a no-no. What am I talking about? I'm talking about beans. I'm talking about peas or refried beans or lentils, things like that. For instance, when I'm on the road, you know what I love to do is I love to get these little puppies. You know, where you just add the boiling water and you put the lid back on them. I love them. They're easy, they're tasty, and they're delicious. But if you were to read the back, you know in the back where it has your calories and your fat, and by the way, the fat on this is like 1.5. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no fat in it. The calories are like 248. I mean, that's nothing. But here's the key, people. The carbohydrates are 45 Gs. 45 Gs on a high protein diet, they only allow you like 20 Gs a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's like nothing. That I could do at breakfast, much less for the rest of the meal. So do you mean to tell me if I did a high protein diet, this would be a no-no? That's what I mean to tell you. Is that crazy? Does that make sense to you? I have 2 of these puppies. When I'm on the road, I want something fast and easy. I'll have 2 of them with some of those high fiber whole grain crackers. But they're easy and they're delicious. Beans are what I term a long-chain molecule food. And by the way, in your booklet, you can check it out. We talk about different foods that expand in your body and make you feel fuller longer. And beans are one of them. They're great if you have high cholesterol. They lower your cholesterol. If you're a diabetic, get into beans because they're delicious. Now, in the recipe book, we've got lots of bean recipes. You are going to be satisfied while you lose your weight. I don't want you counting calories. I don't want you counting fat grams. And I sure don't want you counting those carbohydrate grams. What I do want you to do is eat healthy, low glycemic foods. And I want you, when you do have a high glycemic meal, because sometimes we're going to want it. Like this may surprise you, but if you look in your manual, we talk about potatoes, for instance. Potatoes on the glycemic index, I'm just going to find that for you. Potatoes on the glycemic index are a 95. Now, does that mean we can never have a potato again? Would I do that to you? I mean, come on, folks. We want to have them once in a while. All you have to do is if you boil that potato, it goes down to 70. 70 from 95. That's a real nice savings. But when I do want to have a baked potato, and I do, there's just sometimes, you know, you get that craving, especially in the summer, then all I make sure is on my plate I have all low glycemic foods. And that's all you have to do is balance it so that your blood sugar doesn't rise rapidly. I one time did an interview on the radio, and I'll never forget it. I was talking about baked potatoes and all these different high glycemic foods, and the interviewer said to me, you know, Cathi, you're not going to believe this, but last night I had 8 baked potatoes. He said he was on a low-fat diet, and he couldn't stop eating them once he started. So you see, what the Carbo Clean-Out plan is the best of the high-protein diet and the best of the low-fat diet. But it's not fanatical. That's what I love about it. You can still eat whatever you want as long as you know how to cook it. But let's get to the formula for success. What's the formula for success? Here's the formula for success. Look in your manual, and you're going to see all these different protein choices. You get to eat protein to satisfaction. So that means on your plate, you can have a nice amount of protein. Then I want you to go to the vegetable part. Now, on a high protein diet, you're allowed little or no vegetables. Why? Vegetables are a carb again. Remember? They tell you you're supposed to have 20 G's a day. Do you know what that would amount to? That would amount to 3 cups loosely packed lettuce for the whole day. I mean, I can't even imagine somebody going on that and thinking that's healthy. I want you to eat all the vegetables you can pack on that plate, okay? Eat the vegetables all you wish. Now, the one thing I am going to ask you to bring down is your carbohydrates. And when I say carbohydrates, I'm talking about your starches, because there's only 3 food groups, right? Remember? There's protein, there's fat, and there's carbohydrates. So when I say bring down your carbohydrates, I'm not talking your vegetables. I'm not talking your fruits. By the way, fruits, have 3 a day. Have 3 of your favorite fruits a day. I'm talking about the starchy foods like bread, like noodles, rice, that sort of thing. I'd like you to remember, if you're under 200 pounds, to have 1 of those a day. So that could be a half a slice of toast in the morning and then a small amount of potatoes at night. If you're 200 pounds or over, you get to have 2 a day. So that could be, I don't know, you could have a whole slice of bread in the morning, and then at supper time, you could have a nice big baked potato. So you get 2 a day of the starches. And the starches, again, are your breads, your pasta, your rice. If you're under 200, try to keep it to 1 a day. Now, there's going to be some days that you're going to want more than 1 a day. Don't become fanatical. Remember, the key to success is to eat until you're satisfied, not full. And I'm going to be saying that a few times. And what I mean by eating until you're satisfied and not full is that, have you ever had a meal and then you go to bed that night and you're like, oh, what did I eat? Well, you didn't eat until you were satisfied. You ate until you were full. And you know what? It's going to take a little while to learn how to do that. So we give you meal planners, so it just helps you gauge it. But you don't have to go by them stringently. I want you to go to the list of foods, pick out the ones you like, and eat until you're satisfied. Now, what are we going to eat? Let's get to our meals. The most important thing to remember at breakfast is to have protein. Why do I say that? Think about it. You've just been sleeping from anywhere from 7 to 8 to 9 hours. And you're now going to notice your blood sugar is very low. So we want to get that blood sugar back up to being balanced. And if you go and have a whole bunch of fruit or a whole bunch of carbs, up it comes and then down it crashes. That's what happens when you eat a big, not a big, but a lot of carbohydrates at breakfast. And you'll find that around 10 or 11, you're munching again. Instead, I want you to go to protein. Here's just 4 or 5 choices for you to think about. Number 1 is eggs. Now, I don't care if you have them scrambled, fried, boiled, you name it. Hard-boiled would be great if you have to run out the door. Think about it. You could make up a few the night before, have your whole grain bread ready to go, and your favorite fruit, and you're gone. Now, you'll notice on these scrambled eggs, we have a thermogenic. That's right. There are different foods you're going to read about in the manual that actually stoke your body's metabolic fire, help your body metabolize food quickly. This was proven at Oxford Institute by a Dr. Jaya Henry. He proved that if you ate hot peppers, which is what's in salsa, my favorite meal, you'll metabolize that meal almost 20 to 25% faster. I mean, isn't that fantastic to know that we can eat different foods that will help us metabolize our meal? Now, by the way, for salsa, as long as you go for medium, unless you really can't take hot, spicy foods at all, even go for mild. But I do have to say, the hotter, the better. What's your next choice? Well, another wonderful choice for all you meat eaters out there is some lean ham. Or you might go for turkey bacon. If that's your choice, go for a lower fat, high protein meat. Then we've got some wonderful tomato slices there. We have a slice of whole grain or pumpernickel bread. That would be a wonderful meal for those of you who just really love your meats. By the way, you could have had a little bit of egg there too with your meat if you chose. For those of you who the idea of meat first thing in the morning makes you want to gag, I'm with you. There are some other choices. This is an excellent choice. Have a nice big bowl of yogurt and with some fruit with that. Why do I say yogurt? Yogurt is both a protein and a carb. It's also what I term a long-chain molecule food, meaning it expands in the system and it makes you feel fuller longer. And for those of you who say, you know, I don't even have time to get a bowl out, Kathy. I need something quick and fast and easy. Then just pick up a few of these puppies, get an apple, run out the door, throw it in your gym bag or your purse, and you're laughing. That'd be a great choice for first thing in the morning. Now, there's something else I mentioned earlier. I kind of teased you with it, and I said that there is something else you could go to that is excellent for breakfast if you don't like protein. What am I talking about? I'm talking about oatmeal. Oatmeal is a great choice. Now, what I do is I get the old-fashioned oatmeal, you know, the nice big flakes. By the way, on the glycemic index that we were talking about earlier, that's only like a 40 to 50 on the glycemic index. On top of that, what I do is I get another bag of 9-grain cereal. And you know what's in that. It's got your flax and it's got your, all the different grains in it. And I combine the two of them together. I make a nice big bowl of that and I put some cinnamon on it. You don't have to if you don't, but I love cinnamon. Cinnamon is something that keeps your blood sugar balanced. So for diabetics, it's great. And for people who crave sweets, it's great. I throw a few raisins in that. And yes, I know raisins are a high glycemic food, but when you have it mixed with a low glycemic food, remember I was telling you we can do that, you're fine. And then you could put your milk on it if you drink milk, that's a protein. Or you could go to soy, which is even a great choice for those of you who are really into lowering your cholesterol and you're not into dairy that much. Or rice stream is something else you can pick up at any of the health food stores. So any of those three choices are great for your oatmeal. What about if you don't like hot cereal? Well, if you don't like hot cereal, I haven't forgotten about you. What I would suggest you do is have a nice bowl of all-bran cereal. By the way, in your glycemic index, we have a whole list of all the different cold cereal choices that you could go by. All bran, and then we have bran checks, and so there's all different choices for you. Pick the one that you like and have a nice bowl of that. So we have protein at breakfast other than a few of these choices I just showed you. There's one other premise that I use with this program that really makes sense for the metabolism. What I'm talking about is I want you to start thinking about eating according to the seasons. What do I mean by that? Well, in the fall and winter, I eat warmer foods, and in the summer and spring, I eat cooler foods. So I eat according to what my body needs. For instance, if it's the winter time, I'm going to have a bowl of oatmeal as opposed to a bowl of the all-bran cereal. Or I may have a bowl of yogurt if it's the summer or springtime, and if it's the winter or fall, I'm going to have maybe my scrambled eggs. So eat according to the season. Warmer foods in the fall and winter, cooler in the summer and spring. Let's recap what we've learned so far. Eat protein at breakfast. Eat less carbohydrates. Choose low to moderate glycemic foods, and they're in your manual. Eat according to the seasons. Eat with the seasons. And last and far from least, eat to satisfaction, not fullness. Let's go for lunch. What's the most important thing to have at lunch? Protein again, and light on the carbs. There is one exception, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But let's find out how we can have that staying power. You see, when you eat protein, it produces that glucagon, and then it gives you that staying power, so you're not tired around 3 or 4 o'clock. Let's talk about a few great protein meals at lunchtime. This probably is one of my favorites. What I'm talking about here is hummus. Hummus is delicious. If you've never had it before, treat yourself because it's delicious. It's packed with chickpeas that are all mashed up, and you can throw some garlic in if you love it as much as I do and you want to lower your cholesterol. And then usually they have tahini or peanut butter with it. This one has peanut butter, and I'll get into why peanut butter is good for you. Then I have a Greek salad there. Now, I love Greek salad, but how I make it is different than you may get it in a restaurant. In the restaurant, they can make a great Greek salad, but have you ever noticed they chock it full of feta cheese? I love feta cheese. It's great for you because it's a protein, but you don't want a whole bunch of cheese in it because it is a fat too. Cheese is both a protein and a fat. So how I use it is more as a garnish. You'll see there on the plate it's used, but not heavy duty. As a matter of fact, when I get it in a restaurant, I always joke and say I take the pieces off it and I can make 2 more salads. Now you'll notice we use pitas for your starch. Why? Look on the glycemic index in your manual here, and you'll see that pitas are very low as far as a starch goes. So it is an excellent choice. But you could also go to pumpernickel if you happen to like it better, or a whole grain bun, something that's really got a lot of grains in it. That would be a great choice. Another choice for you meat eaters out there would be some hamburger patties. And by the way, you don't need a lot of protein to give you that staying power. 4 to 5 ounces at one setting is more than enough. If you're a vegetarian, then what I would tell you to do is go out and get some of those great veggie burgers because they're high in protein. As a matter of fact, I bet on that dish you can't even tell the difference, can you? One is the meat and one is the protein choice. You'll love it. Chock it full of all your favorite vegetables, or you could have had it with a nice big salad if you wanted, and whatever vegetable choice that you happen to like. Now, this is one of my faves, and what I'm talking about here is tuna. I love it. If you're not a big tuna lover, then you could have made it with some lettuce and tomato, and you could have packed that pita with some chicken or lean beef or cheese for that matter, if you like it. But get a pita because you can really stock it. You know what I'm saying? You can really stuff it full. So pita is one of my favorite choices. And then I've got some coleslaw here because cabbage is one of the foods that help flush fat out of the system. So if you do like coleslaw, you're in luck. And another reason I like coleslaw is there are 2 different ingredients that will actually lower your blood sugar when you're eating. And remember, the key here is to keep our blood sugar balanced. Those 2 ingredients are either vinegar and or lemon. So a coleslaw is great because you can use a bit of oil with your vinegar. Have some fruit for your fiber and for that that nice sweet taste that you want. Now, if it's summertime, remember I was telling you to eat according to the seasons? In the summertime, I love nice big salads like you see over there. And I make a great big huge plate like that. I might throw a tin of salmon on that, or if I have some cold chicken around, I'll throw that on it. Whatever you might have around, or use your cheese like I said, and throw that on it because it makes it more decadent. It just makes it a little bit richer tasting. So in the summer and spring, we're going to eat cooler foods. That would be our salads or our coleslaw. Coleslaw, by the way, could be either or. But in the wintertime, the fall, we're going to eat warmer foods. So that would be our burgers or soup. Do you remember I mentioned earlier that there is an exception to protein at lunchtime? That exception is soup. This was a study done at the Obesity Research Clinic at St. Luke's Hospital. They proved that people who had tomato soups actually ate less later on. So you could have a nice big bowl or two, for heaven's sakes. This is tomato with some veggies in it. You could go for a lentil or a pea soup, and we have lots of other choices in your manual, so check it out. And when I have soup, I have at least 2 big bowls of it, and I might have a pumpernickel roll with that, or some whole grain crackers. I love crackers with my soup. By the way, if you have to run out the door, you got to have something really quick and fast and easy, just make it a protein shake. Let's go for supper. At dinner is one of the times that we can eat a bit more carbohydrates with our protein. Now, why would I suggest to have a little more carbs at dinner time? Because you see, carbohydrates produce serotonin. Serotonin is what makes us all nice and relaxed and cozy and makes us want to do our cocooning. And hey, let's face it, that's what we do after dinner. We either watch the boob tube, read a little book, or do some meditating. So we want to be in a more relaxed mood. Foods can actually get us there. So what am I talking about when I say mix your carbs with your protein? Let me show you some choices. Number 1 here is the chicken stir-fried. Chicken stir-fry or beef stir-fry or vegetarian stir-fry would be an excellent, excellent dinner choice because we have the rice, which is a carb, and we have the chicken, which is a protein. You know, if you're vegetarian, you would just substitute that chicken for tofu or whatever other vegetarian choice you like. That would be a great mix of both protein and carb. Next, we have the salmon. I think salmon is probably my favorite choice of a dinner. Why is that? Well, because you see, salmon has your good fats. If you're eating more of the good fats, which is the omega-3 and the omega-6, it's found in salmon or mackerel or tuna or sardines or mostly fish. It's also found in nuts, if you happen to like nuts. But this is the good fats. And you know what's interesting? If you ate more of the good fats, you'd actually crave less of the bad fats. And you know what I'm talking about there. I'm talking about all those polyunsaturated fats and the partial hydrogenated oils. They're found in your baked goods, your pies, and your cookies. And if you tend to crave fats, here's one of the reasons why. You're not eating enough of the good fats. What if you say to me, I hate fish? Then forget it. Don't eat it. But you may want to go to the health food store and get some of the good flaxseed oil or evening primrose oil, because that will actually help you with your cravings. You know what's interesting? Men crave more fat and protein, and women tend to crave more carbohydrates and sweets. So isn't it good to know that if we're eating our good fats, we're actually going to crave less of the bad fats? So that's an excellent choice. We've got our salmon. And if you notice, the salmon and the potatoes, and I chose the little baby potatoes. Why is that? They raise the insulin much less. On the glycemic index, if you look in your manual, you'll see a baked potato is like 95. But if you boil that, it goes down to 70. And if you had a sweet potato or a yam, it's only 50. So if those are your better choices than a baked potato. But I still say if you want a baked potato, go for it. Just make sure you have it with your turkey or your roast beef or your tofu, whatever your choice might be. Now let's get to the last choice for dinner. And by the way, these are all just examples. If you look in your meal plan, you'll see a lot more. And also, if you're like me, I just like to be creative. I take the whole list and I mix and match, and that's what you're supposed to do. Be creative, eat only what you like. But let's get to the last choice because everybody loves this one. What am I talking about? Pasta. Now when it comes to pasta, not all pastas are created equal. Remember I was telling you there are some carbs that will raise the insulin and other carbs that will keep it nice and balanced? It's the same for pasta. Here's a couple of rules of thumb. If you want to have pasta, cook it so it's al dente. You know, like they do in Italy. So it's not real all soft and mushy. You want it to have a little bit of a bite to it. That will lower the glycemic index, your blood sugar. So that's one rule of thumb. And then we give you a whole list of all different pastas to go to. And you'll notice the fettuccine is only like a 35, as opposed to a white pasta, the real skinny, you know, like the angel hair, it could be up to as high as a 65. So here's a little rule of thumb. The thicker the pasta, the longer chain molecule food it would be, meaning it'll keep your blood sugar more balanced. So I tend to go for a fettuccine choice, or you know those really thick tube-type rigatoni ones? They're a great choice also. So let me just give you 2 different examples of meals. We have pasta here in a bolognese sauce, which is just tomato and some lean ground beef. Now, for the vegetarians, all they would do is put a tofu choice in there, or some kind of vegetarian choice instead of the lean beef. You know how I really like it, and this may sound crazy, but I'll tell you, it is really quite delicious. How I make my pasta, I do it al dente, so it's not all mushy, but then I use some of the spaghetti squash. And spaghetti squash, I just nuke it in the microwave for like, 8-9 minutes, a little bit of water, and you just take it out, and it's delicious with a tomato sauce over it. It is really yummy. So you could use the tofu in there, you could use tempeh in your tomato sauce, or you could use lean beef. But you can still have your pasta. I'm not saying to have it every night of the week, but once or twice a week, that's fine. It's not a high glycemic food if you do it by the rules I mentioned. And one other thing to remember, there's 2 little ingredients you should always have in your house. And what are those ingredients? Some lemon and or vinegar. Why? Just 1 tablespoon of lemon, like with the salmon, always put some lemon on your fish. Why do I say that? It lowers the blood sugar. It makes it by 30%. I mean, that's pretty awesome if you think about it. And vinegar is another food. So when I make my salads, I always try to put oil and vinegar in it because it will lower the blood sugar 30%. Now let's go have some snacks. What's a day without a few snacks? On the program, you should have 1 to 2 snacks a day. I'm going to tell you about some that may surprise you and some that are good old standbys. But let's get to some surprises first. Number 1 surprise is nuts. Most people are surprised to think that they can have some nuts on a program and lose weight. This was a study done at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. They proved that dieters on a nutty diet actually lost weight. Now, we wouldn't have a nice big tray like this, but I would take a little bowl like that, and I would take my selection and put it in there. Because I find if you eat out of a big bowl, you don't realize how much you're eating. Because it doesn't take a lot of nuts to make a big difference. What I'm talking about there is this was a study done at the Nurses' Health Study. They did it with over 86,000 people. That's quite phenomenal. That's a large study to be done. It was done with women between the ages of 34 and 59. And they proved that if you ate just 5 ounces of nuts in a month, you would lower your risk of heart disease. Why would nuts work so well? Because again, it's the good fats. And when we're eating the good fats, then we're not going to go to the bad fats. Another thing to remember about nuts, keep them in your fridge or they may go rancid on you. And when I make a big bowl like this, what I try to do is put about 90% unsalted to 10% salted. So I still want a little bit of that salty craving, but I also don't want to OD on it. So nuts are a great snack. What's another good snack to have? Well, I think it's probably the #1 best snack in the whole wide world, if you like it. What I'm talking about is yogurt. Yogurt is a long-chain molecule food. It expands in your system, makes you feel fuller longer. It's both a protein and a carb, so that keeps your blood sugar nice and balanced. I usually go for the low-fat yogurts. And you know, if you don't like yogurt, check out about 3 or 4 different varieties because the more you try, you will find the one you love best. Next, it's our fruit. You can't beat fruit for a great snack or dessert. 3 fruits a day is great for the bowels, it's great for your blood sugar, it's great for your cholesterol. And in the manual, we talk all about the best fruits. But almost all of them are quite low on the glycemic index, except for maybe a banana. It's a little higher, but bananas are good for you. They're full of potassium. When I make my protein drink, I might take a half a banana and throw it in there. So people, eat your fruits. They're a great snack. Something else that always surprises people, it's my fave, and what I'm talking about is chocolate. That's surprising to a lot of people, but do you realize chocolate is full of antioxidants? It's actually packed with it. But here's the secret. It has to be the dark chocolate. That good Belgian or French chocolate, that's your better chocolate. It has more antioxidants in it. It's full of magnesium. Do you ever wonder why during your period sometimes you'll crave chocolate? It's because it's full of magnesium and copper. What more could you ask for? Of course, you're not going to have a big plate like that, I hope, but have an ounce or two. You know, just snap off a piece and enjoy it. Make love to your food, and then you'll enjoy it. But a chocolate is actually good for antioxidants. And last and far from least is my favorite dessert. What this is here is angel food cake. Angel food cake, we're talking 0 fat, very low calories, and it's easy and delicious. What we did was put the Cool Whip in between the layers with berries. Why do I pick berries? Berries are great for an antioxidant, and they're also low on the blood sugar. So what more could you ask for? Whether it be fruit or chocolate, nuts or yogurt, and if you're a veggie lover, don't ever forget that great standby. Just get a nice big veggie plate, put it in the fridge, have your salsa or your favorite dip, and go for it. Let's recap what we've taken in so far. Eat moderate to low glycemic foods. Eat protein at breakfast and lunch and less starch. Balance your protein and your carb at dinner time. Have cool foods in the summer and spring, warm foods in the fall and winter. Eat to satisfaction, not till you're full. But more than all of that, the most important thing is to remember to enjoy your food. Make love to your food. Realize this isn't another diet again, it's a lifestyle change. As a matter of fact, speaking of lifestyle, I'd like you once a week to go out and do what a natural slim person does. What am I talking about? Once a week, I always find they go out to dinner and have whatever the heck they'd like to have. I want you to do that. Whatever your favorite meal is, make sure you do that once a week. Enjoy your life. Reward yourself. And speaking of reward, that's what Fresh Start would like to do for you. When you get this program, you know what I'd like you to do? Take the worst before picture you can of yourself. What I mean by that is just let it all hang out. Don't put anything in front of you to hide it. Just take a really good before picture. Take your measurements too, because the difference in your measurements are awesome. Then what I'd like you to do is 2 months down the road, 6 months down the road, maybe it'll be a year down the road. It depends on how much weight you have to lose. I want you to take the best after picture of yourself, and I want you to send it to me. And what I am going to do for you is give you a reward for that. We'd like to send you $200 if we pick your before and after picture. It's a way of me connecting with you, and it's a way for me to get to know you a little better. So people, to remember the most important thing about this program is to enjoy life, is to make it a lifestyle change, not another diet. I want you to enjoy life to the fullest and get ready to lose your weight and feel great.